It may be Game of Thrones to TV viewers, but for others, that's merely the title of the first book in George R.R. Martin's epic fantasy series, A Song of Ice and Fire. The War for the Seven Kingdoms often seems tame when compared to some of the furious debates between TV viewers and book readers, as while the latter's power has dwindled as the series drifts further away from the source material, the battle will always remain over whether the show or the books reign supreme. One of the problems readers have with visual adaptations are the appearance of characters. After all, once you've read of someone's description, your own imagination paints a picture of a character, so it can spark outrage when they're dramatically different. As such, I'm Ben from Whatculture, and this is what your favourite Game of Thrones characters look like in the books. Mild spoilers ahead. Number 22. Eddard Stark. To quote Game of Thrones Chapter 1, Bran's father sat solemnly on his horse, long brown hair stirring in the wind. His closely trimmed beard was shot with white, making him look older than his 35 years. He had a grim cast to his grey eyes this day. Sean Bean was the perfect casting for Eddard, and while his appearance was changed slightly, he nonetheless cut an impressive figure as Lord Stark. Number 21. Catelyn Stark. Catelyn is described as being beautiful, with particular reference to her long auburn hair, blue eyes, and rather precisely, long fingers. She is strong-willed and proud, yet humble, as she opts for plain clothing as opposed to the royal colours that can be found further south. She's a motherly figure in the books, but is greatly angered by Ned's bastard son, Jon Snow, who is a constant reminder of her husband's perceived misdeeds. Number 20. Arya Stark. Arya may be a wildly popular character in the books and on TV, but Martin doesn't exactly paint a great picture of her appearance in A Song of Ice and Fire. She is described as being more like a Stark than a Tully, with a long face, grey eyes, and brown hair. She's skinny and athletic and regarded as plain. She even earned the name Arya Horseface and was often mistaken for a boy, but as the books progress, she begins to attract more attention for her looks. Number 19. Bran and Hodor. On the other end of the scale, Bran is more Tully than Stark, with thick auburn hair like Catelyn, Sansa, and Robb, deep blue eyes, and an adventurous spirit, exemplified by his climbing skills and adoration of his knight idol, Sir Barristan Selmy, whom he was prevented from meeting after his fall. Hodor, meanwhile, is a big, lumbering stable boy, so they got that about right. Number 18. Theon Greyjoy. Theon is a lean, handsome youth, about 19 years old when the series begins, and of course, the most noticeable difference is that he is referred to as dark-haired in the books as opposed to the red-headed version we have in the TV show. He's described as finding everything funny, smirking, sniggering, and mocking absolutely everything. He's also a highly skilled archer, and has a lot going for him before eventually manifesting himself as Reek. Number 17. Jon Snow. Jon takes on a very similar appearance in both the show and the books, despite being a 14-year-old at the start of the latter. He has a lean build, dark brown hair, and extremely dark grey eyes, often appearing to be black. He is seen as a traditional Stark, with an honourable yet often guarded face, whereas Robb and Bran are closer to the Tullys on Catelyn's side of the family. Jon also has a fantastic bond with Arya, with whom he shares a similar adventurous attitude. Number 16. Samwell Tarly. Another case of the TV show getting the character perfect is with the loyal yet hapless Sam. In a Jon-related chapter of the book, his first encounter with Sam is as follows. Through the eye slit of his helm, he beheld the fattest boy he had ever seen standing in the door of the armory. By the look of him, he must have weighed 20 stone. The fur collar of his embroidered surcoat was lost beneath his chins. Pale eyes moved nervously in a great round moon of a face, and plump sweaty fingers wiped themselves on the velvet of his doublet. Number 15. Tormund Giantsbane. While Tormund started as an enemy of Jon Snow, Season 5 and 6 have turned him into a firm fan favourite, and in the books he's described as a short but immensely broad man with a big snow-white beard. Thick gold bands graven with runes bound his massive arms, and he wore a heavy shirt of black ringmail that could only have come from a dead ranger. While Tormund is clearly a deadly warrior in the books, the first meeting with Jon takes place inside Mance Rayder's tent, with Tormund cheerily devouring an entire greasy hen on a stick. Good lad. Number 14. Daenerys Targaryen. Daenerys was a 13-year-old girl at the start of the books, though HBO aged her up, as they did with several other key characters, because it would be a bit bloody weird otherwise. She is always referred to as silver-haired, very beautiful, and intriguingly, she has purple eyes, a signature trait of the Targaryens in the books. They even shot a few takes with Emilia Clarke wearing the purple contacts, but they hid the emotion from her eyes, according to producers. She's a delicate, obedient girl to begin with, though the Dothraki life sees her emerge from her brother Viserys' shadow and grow into a leader. Number 13. Jorah Mormont. Having served 3 tours in the Friend Zone, Jorah is just as deeply entrenched in the books as he is during the TV show. So Jorah was not a handsome man. He had a neck and shoulders like a bull, and coarse black hair covered his arms and chest so thickly that there was none left for his head. Yet, his smiles gave Dany comfort. He's a more muscular, bulkier figure, though his manner and loyalty run similarly to the show. Number 12. Khal Drogo. The Dothraki are all referred to in a similar style, with Khal Drogo being no exception. He is tall and muscular with copper-coloured skin and almond-shaped black eyes. His distinguishing feature is his hair, as it's incredibly long due to never losing a fight and flows down to his thighs with many small bells tied in so that it rings as he moves. Terrifying. While his TV beard was impressive, the book also describes him as having a long, drooping moustache to contend with. Number 11. DAARIO NAHARIS. So you've got 2 versions of Daario in the TV show, but which is closer to his real appearance? Well, neither. HBO had 2 chances to nail his appearance, but failed twice. The first Daario was blonde, then he was recast as a rugged, dark-haired figure. But in the books, he is said to have curly, dyed blue hair. Getting even weirder, he maintains a 3-pronged beard, also blue, and an extravagant moustache painted gold. He also has a large, curved nose, a golden tooth, and dresses in colours as wild as his hair. That was clearly too much for HBO to handle, so they instead opted to tone him down closer to just a regular sellsword. I didn't know Dany was into that kind of stuff, really, but there you go. Number 10. JAQEN HGHAR. It's hard to get a totally accurate description when it comes to looking at the appearance of a faceless man. When Arya first meets JAQEN HGHAR, he is bound in shackles destined for the wall, but remains cool and collected while imprisoned with 2 far less appealing prisoners. Arya finds him to be slender, fine-featured, handsome, and always smiling. But the biggest change from his character was the hair. It's described as white on one side and gingery red on the other in A Clash of Kings, whereas there's only 1 streak in the show. Number 9. Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay Bolton is a downright evil character, possibly even topping Joffrey for sheer malice. In the TV show, his smirking, eerie face had the audience wanting to spring from their seats and punch it, again and again. And again. He's got a cool, cunning, despicable nature, though his appearance in the books makes him seem far less menacing, or at least less composed. He's flat out ugly, even when well dressed, with pink, blotchy skin, hunched shoulders, and big bones. He's long-haired with a chubby face and nose, and described as a significantly less slick character than his TV appearances would suggest. Number 8. Melisandre. Melisandre is described as one of the most beautiful people around in Clash of Kings. Her long hair is said to be the colour of burnished copper, and she has pale, unblemished skin. She is slender and graceful, yet tall, with a narrow waist and a heart-shaped face. In the show, she does wear her large jewelled necklace, though in the books, the rubies physically glow when she is using magic, and if her powers are too strong, sometimes she's even burned by the choker. Number 7. Petyr Baelish. Petyr Baelish is almost wholly referred to as Littlefinger throughout the books and is talked about as a short, slender man with sharp features. He has ominous grey-green eyes, a small pointed beard on his chin, and threads of grey running throughout his dark, slick hair. However, while Baelish does speak in riddles and with cunning words, there's nothing in the book to explain his encroaching Irish accent. Number 6. Tywin Lannister. Tywin Lannister was a legendary TV figure. He was perfect for the show and one of the coolest, most powerful bad guys in recent TV history. He was in total command, right until being shot by his dwarf son with a crossbow while on the toilet. But his death removed, Tywin was a dignified, suave character in the books. He's tall and slender, yet broad-shouldered and strong. Once he began to turn bold, he shaved his hair clean off and grew large, bushy sideburns either side of his face instead. His deep red, shining armor was even said to put Jaime Lannister's fabled gold suit to shame. Number 5. Jaime Lannister. Speaking of which, it's the de facto face of the Lannister family. The Kingslayer has a notorious reputation for his role in Robert's Rebellion, and in the books, he's extremely good looking, with many thinking he's basically the perfect man, with golden hair and bright green eyes. Even Jon Snow thought he had a kingly look about him when the Lannisters visited Winterfell at the beginning of the story. Number 4. Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion is a fan favourite in both the show and the books. He's a fantastic, clever character, though his appearance is grotesque on paper. He's described as having stubby legs, a jutting forehead, patches of black hair mixed with pale blonde, and even mismatched eyes, with one green and one black. Similarly to the show, he does grow a beard later on, though his injuries at Blackwater Bay are more severe in the book, as he lost most of his nose in the incident, rather than earning a sick scar. Number 3. Cersei Lannister. Cersei is essentially the male equivalent of her twin brother/lover, Jaime. She has a slim, graceful figure and bears classic Lannister traits with golden blonde hair and green eyes. She's described as extremely beautiful even by Ned Stark during one chapter in the first book, though later she is described as starting to lose her shape as a result of her constant drinking. Number 2. Joffrey Baratheon. Joffrey is a 12-year-old boy at the start of the book series, and for much of the first book he is painted in a majestic light by the infatuated Sansa, though moments of rage are highlighted, and his execution of her father sees him transform into a full-time evil boy, naive, restless, and cruel. He's tall with curly blonde hair and green eyes, a perfect combination of his mother and biological father. He's a pure-blood Lannister with pouty lips and an evil smirk, but Jon Snow once noted that he looked like a girl after seeing him. Good job, Jon. Number 1. White Walkers. The ever-lingering threat in both the books and show, rarely seen yet always there, but what do the terrifying White Walkers look like in the books? They're tall, gaunt, with pale, milky flesh and blazing blue eyes. They carry incredibly thin crystal swords, cold enough to shatter anything that touches them. They're elite warriors, both quick and fast, and merciless, as demonstrated at the beginning of the first chapter of the series. In the books, they're mainly referred to as the Others, and were said to ride direwolves, mammoths, and bears while accompanied by giant spiders in battle, though a lot of details about walkers come from rumours and myths. And that's our list. Are there any other Thrones comparisons we missed off? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can even follow me here on Twitter if you fancy. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and thanks for watching.